Hello again, everyone. Another week on Rose and Carter Do the JOB. Last 2 weeks, this week and next week, are kind of like our last two proper 4 weeks. Because everything goes back to kind of half normal on the 17th of May and pub opens and life gets a bit busier. My pick this week, my singles pick, and I've chosen George South. He's been my hero for probably 10 years or more, primarily because, I mean, I kind of grew up watching him on television. He was on every television show you could ever watch. But then when the YouTube age came in, I got to see him do like the independent shows, which he's a massive part of Carolinas and parts of Kentucky, Tennessee, and, you know, the southern states. And just brilliant at what he does. You know,
yeah.
And, hell of a wrestling run. You know, nigh on 40 years so far, and he's still going strong. Born September the 7th, 1962, makes him 58. He was Cruel Connection 2, The Gladiator #2, Mr. Florida, and he's Mr. #1, George South. He started as Iron Man Mark Thunder, which there's rare footage of Mark Thunder, you know, dotted about. It didn't last long, though, the name. Debuted in December 82, so yeah, nigh on 40 years, isn't it? And there's literally not been a wrestling TV show that he's not been on, which I think is amazingly cool.
Yeah.
I don't just love George's wrestling, I love his attitude towards it.
You know, I remember you saying, like, I mean, like, honestly, like, it's only through you that I got to know more about George South, because obviously, no doubt he would have been on TV shows like that I'd watched growing up, but the name wasn't familiar with me, and I don't necessarily remember him. But it wasn't until you like mentioned him to me that I've gone back and I'm like, all right, yeah, like kind of, you know, then I see him and I'm thinking I probably did see him in the past, but I wasn't very familiar with him until like probably the past 2 or 3 years when I have actually seen a lot more of him. You know what I mean? But yeah, I didn't know anything about him, like, you know, a while ago.
I really love the fact that he's such a wrestling fan, and there's a stigma attached, or there certainly was. It's not so much anymore, but there certainly was. That people in wrestling almost couldn't be wrestling fans because, you know, the mark should be outside. They should be sat out there, and they shouldn't be in the dressing room with us. You know what I mean? And I think it's a stupid thing, because you wouldn't be, you know, if you weren't a wrestling fan, what the fuck are you doing it for? I did say I wasn't going to swear, but you know, what are you doing it for anyway? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I think we're all fans.
Yeah, there's something that's got to spark your interest in the first place, you know.
Yeah.
And he's such a wrestling fan. He still loves it just as much today. He still believes in it just as much today. You know, he's got stories about Paul Jones being his favourite. You know, because he was, you know, Mr. #1, Paul Jones, and that's kind of, and he's got stories about knowing him and still believing the struggles that he had with Wahoo McDaniels and that kind of thing, and finding out that they were friends kind of ruined his life. You know what I mean? And I love that. Wrestling still, you know, it should be seen through fans' eyes, shouldn't it? And I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah, so started in Florida by all accounts, and then 85 to 89 in the NWA promotions, Crockett, Georgia, Central States, and various others. He was in the Crockett Cup in 87, tagging with Steve Kern. That's pretty cool, isn't it?
Yeah.
88 to 90 in the WWF. I mean, just some of the names he wrestled there: Honky Tonk Man, Blue Blazer, Brutus Beefcake, Jake Roberts, The Rockers, Ultimate Warrior. He's on the front of the Hasbro ring box getting clotheslined by the Ultimate Warrior.
Yeah, I remember you showing me that.
Pretty big claim to fame, I think. A lot of these cross over because, you know, not being contracted, I suppose you can do what you want when you wanted. And he was in WCW in 89 to 95 originally. He was in Great Muta's first TV match for WCW. Clash of the Champions, where he wrestled the Ding Dongs. That's another claim to fame because they're mentioned a lot, aren't they? The Ding Dongs, you know what I mean? Like, to be part of that on Clash of the Champions as well. 93 to 95, and then again in parts of 96, the WWF. Tatanka, Lex Luger. That was kind of like the Raw period, so he was on Raw there. Smoky Mountain, 94, 95. Wrestled like Tracy Smothers and Buddy Landau for the TV title. Al Snow, Unibomb that became Kane. Ran the PWF with the Italian Stallion, 91 to 99, which did a real large area. Like, you know, it was like one of the later day territory sort of thing, you know, and produced a lot of people as well. Henry Godwin was one of them that sort of started there. The Hardys, Men on a Mission, like all sort of broke in through PWF, and still prominent today on the independents. All sorts of independents as well, not just those smaller shows that equally as important, but promotions like AML that were one of the more sort of modern, sort of flashier looking promotions. You know what I mean? He's a great deal of different varieties of wrestling that he's still involved in. Championships wise, he was NWA Georgia Junior Champion, American Pro Wrestling TV and US Champion, Exodus Heavyweight Champion 6 times, TV Champion there once, which he was involved in the booking with. Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling Anderson Brothers Tag Team Tournament. He won, teaming with Brad Anderson. That's pretty cool. PWF Eastern States once, Heavyweight Championship 7, Junior Heavyweight Champion 3 times, Tag Team Champion 5 times, with 5 different partners. AML World Champion twice. That's quite recently. Some of the matches from AML. There's a great match on there wrestling C.W. Anderson.
Right, yeah.
Really good. He was 248 in the top 500 in the PWI in 97. Just a cracking man. Can't tell you how much I adore me some George South. Right, so we watched 4 apiece.
Yeah.
I got 4 bouters I did. Like really just good opponents. Really interesting matches, and you can pick little things out to steal from each one of them. Like really good.
Yeah.
There was never any sort of groundbreaking, totally life-changing wrestling, and I love that because you don't need to, do you? You don't need. Everything was simple. There was no wasted motion. And do you know what I found? George has got this sort of stigma attached to it, I guess. He was a TV jobber, and we've been through this before. I mean, we don't like the term job. I don't like it, but he was way more than that, and you can tell that from when they have the wrestler come into the ring on TV. George has the ring ready, right? But when they announce him, he's not like some that just stand there. You know what I mean? They the lights come up and they announce the name and he sort of goes like this. There's none of that going on. He's busy.
Yeah. I always feel like, I mean, like we're not, like we say, we don't really like the term jobber or whatever, or enhancement talent or whatever, but I always feel like there's kind of 2 categories, like you were just saying. You get the people that are just there that are fucking like, and then you get the others who are there to basically do the job, but they're there, like you say, they're more than that. They're not just there to get a shit kick in, and then
you believe in them, don't you?
You are.
You believe in the other ones. You believe in the George South types. Today, you know what I mean? They're going to give the opponent at least something to deal with. They're not just there for the meat to throw around.
No. Yeah, totally.
Right, so what was your first, mate?
My first one was from the WWF. It was from the 11th September, I think, 88, against the Blue Blazer.
Yours is just before mine, then you do yours.
Right, okay, yeah. None of my matches are none of them are very long. they're all like under 10 minutes, by, you know, I think 6 minutes on average.
Sorry, my third one was the longest, but that was like a more independent one. So, you know, it was like 20 minutes long.
All right, okay.
The others like 5 minutes.
Yeah. Okay, so this one was this match was probably my favorite one of the whole lot. I mean, and Blue Blazer would have been really new at this point, wouldn't he, as well? I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, he was gone by 89, wasn't he?
Yeah.
He was over here. Well, he's WCW in 90 and then over here in 91, and then he was back again, wasn't he? So must have been pretty fresh.
So Blazer goes for like a handshake to start the match, but George like just kicks him in the stomach, so you know, and then takes the head. George gets shot off. There's a really nice spot and it's really crisp as well. George gets shot off. He tackles Blazer. As George hits the ropes, Blazer kips up. Like the timing is perfect. Like George hits the ropes as Blazer kips up. As George comes back, Blazer just hits a beautiful drop kick. Boom. Like it was just like, so you couldn't get it any more timed than that. It was just brilliant. And then George takes the drop kick, feeds round, and then Blazer gets him in the headlock, takes the head. Then he gets shot off, tackles George. George then sleeps. Blazer, instead of doing the normal leap over him, he like backflips over him, you know, like as George sleeps, which looked like just so crisp, all of it. As he's done he does the backflip over him. George gets up and then Blazer hits him with the Hurricane Rana for like a 2 count. He stays on him for the pin, 1-2. Blazer works the arm a little bit there with the wrist lock and stuff. George cuts him off just literally momentarily in the corner. As George is in the wrist lock, he like cuts him off just briefly. Whips Blazer to the opposite corner, but he switches it. George feeds out and then a big back body drop by the Blue Blazer. Blazer's in control now, hits a beautiful belly-to-belly suplex, gets the 2 count on that, and then just gives him a body slam. And then he goes up for a moonsault, Blue Blazer, and that's the finish, like 1, 2, 3. But I actually think it was possibly the best moonsault I've ever seen. Like, and I've seen some good ones, but usually when someone does a moonsault, they don't always hit like literally chest to chest. They might catch them with their legs or their arms or something. And, you know, doing that kind of move is always a bit risky. But the moonsault, it was like a computer game. Literally, it was just like, boom. Like, you know, that's how good it was. It was perfect. But the match itself was really good. Like, very crisp. Really, really crisp. Like, everything, the timing was, you know, you get wrestlers, and I'm sure they wouldn't have worked together many times previously or before or after or whatever. I don't think, you know what I mean? But they looked like they had. Like, that's how, like, you know, nice it was. Yeah. So, cracking little, about 4 or 5 minutes long, I reckon that.
Beautiful. Yeah, my first one was about that. 23rd of October 88 versus Sam Houston.
I almost picked that one. That was literally, I was going to pick it, but then I seen the Blue Blazer one pop up. I thought I'd pick this one instead.
This was real good too. The first thing I put was busy and looks believable. You know, like Sam Houston's dancing his way to the ring like he did. And
yeah.
George is like, he's trying, you know, he's trying to get in there. He's being a villain. He's not just sitting and standing in the corner. You know, he's always moving. He's always busy. And you believe he's a contender. Do you know what I mean? Sam Houston doing his little 2-step thing with his chaps on and all that. So straight off, Sam takes the arm. George takes the arm, pulls the hair to get Sam to the mat. Like, up he gets, pulls the hair. You know, they do that a few times. There's like a forearm by Sam Houston to get out. Big drop kick. But George feeds round, arm dragged over. As George gets up, he knees him in the stomach to get out of that. Then a few shots from George. The whip gets reversed. George South gets backdropped out the corner. an arm dragged again, up, a knee again from George, few shots then, a whip and a tackle. As Sam comes off the ropes again, a knee to the belly this time off the ropes, and there's a sort of brief heat from George here. George South misses a knee drop. Up he gets, arm dragged again. Up gets George into the eyes. Posts Sam Houston. George runs in, catches the boots. Up goes Sam Houston to the middle for a bulldog off the middle rope. Beautiful. Like I said, everything just felt right. The timing was good. It was for such a short match. It was action packed, but didn't seem rushed at the same time.
That was exactly the same with my first one. It was a very quick match with Blue Blazer, but it did, like you said, it didn't seem rushed at all. It just seemed like perfectly timed, like all of it.
Because I mean, I've seen it myself, and from booking as well. You know, sometimes you have to cut time off matches or whatever. Yeah. And you take time out, and they're like, "Oh, yeah, but we've got 15 minutes planned." Well, now you have to plan 5 minutes, wouldn't you? Or better still, don't plan anything at all and just do 5 minutes. It's longer than you think, isn't it? Yeah. You know, especially when you go in at the pace they do.
Yeah.
You know, it's you can tell a story in a short time. It's possible. You know, I've done the TV taping type things, and you know, I've done 14 TV tapings with 14 matches on. You know, and they're all like 5 or 6 minutes long, and it has been daunting to people. But once they've done a few, they realise, oh yeah, you know, or they come back after like 3 minutes, and I was like, well, you had 5. Oh yeah, but we rushed it. You know what I mean? Right, what's next?
My next one is we're shooting up to 1994 now, and it's February '94. Smoky Mountain Wrestling, and it's against Al Snow.
Oh, I got that. Yeah, I enjoyed that.
Yeah, it was good. This was probably the most one-sided, I think, that out of the 4, because it was generally Al Snow. Like
it was Al Snow's debut, according to so I suppose it made sense to put Al over big, didn't it?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It was probably their like intentions to make Al look decent, and obviously there
was a big build up for Al Snow as well. You know, the world's greatest wrestler and simply sensational and all this. So
yeah,
he needed that big build, didn't it? That big match putting over.
I'd never seen him as that, Al Snow, like that simply sensational thing. It's new to me. Like I didn't.
I think he was brought in initially because Eddie Gilbert had left.
Right. Okay.
Brought into Smoky Mountain and ended up tagging with Unibomb. That because Eddie Gilbert and Unibomb that became Kane.
Yeah.
Wrestling the Rock and Rolls for the tag titles all the time. And then, you know, half of that team sort of vanished. I don't know the full story, but, you know, this is the rough guide to it. And then Al Snow was like the ideal replacement, really. He was the same sort of cocky kind of dude that Gilbert was, you know, young, the bumper. So, yeah, just fit in perfectly, really.
All right. If you want to do this one, do you want me to do it?
No, you carry on. It's a babyface George South too.
You are, sorry?
Babyface George South too.
Yeah. They're milking the start quite a bit, aren't they, with the handshake and stuff, which is good. You know, really taking the time. Like it was like the total opposite of the match that I watched previously, whereas that was like action. This is obviously like some of the stuff Al Snow does is pretty like impressive, like high flying type, similar to Blue Blazer in that way. But the match, the whole speed of the match is just a lot slower than, you know, the previous one. So they tie up. Al does like them quick holds and stuff and takes him down, doesn't he, and stuff like that. Then they do it like real slow. He does it again. They tie up and he goes around him and then does like a leg takedown type thing on by Al, like real, like showing his like technical ability, because they keep bigging him up as a technical wrestler as well, don't they? Like, you know, like real good technical wrestler. Tie up again, they get into the corner, cheap shot by Al. I do like this spot where they do George switches the whip, then George is in control, but then he whips Al to the corner, who then does like the flare thing over the top to the outside, and then I like it how George is running in, and then he like nails him with a clothesline, like as
and so perfectly timed, and everyone's in the right position, and it just, you know, it looked natural, didn't it?
Yeah. So he goes into the corner. Al, he does the flare spot over the corner as he's on the apron. George runs. Al Snow lines him down, then does like a leg drop over the top rope, like from the apron, which looked pretty nice. Leg drop over the top, and then he finishes him off with a beautiful springboard dive from the other side, like jumps from the apron onto the top rope, and then like a massive splash for the finish. But it was really nice. I enjoyed it. It was nice. It was simple, and it was generally all out. But very nice match though, I thought.
Yeah. My next one's my favourite. I thought out of these four. It didn't have a date on, but you know, it's kind of early 90s, maybe 92.
Right.
WCW Saturday Night. It was the Underdog Challenge, which they did with sort of the lesser known TV guys. You know, like Bob Cook had one, and you know the versus Ricky Nelson. Beautiful list, beautiful. Lock up at the start. George South is back to the ropes, and he claims the airport. George South then with the top wrist lock, which Ricky Nelson turns into a hammerlock. George gets to the ropes again. Second time round, top wrist lock into the hammerlock. George elbows out of it, hits the ropes, tackle. They do a little international kind of thing then. Hip toss, arm drag. Hip toss, drop kick, and an arm drag after the sort of international bit. George South's got a very, you know, like Blackjack Mulligan's long moustache.
Yeah,
that's exactly what George had here. A proper long. They're going to lock up again. George does the kick, couple of back shots. Ricky Nelson ducks two. This is real cool, and I see this in two of George's matches. Ricky ducks two lines. As he comes back off the third one, George grabs him by the hand and posts him. So instead of keeping it in the one direction, he turns it into the direction it's needed, just for something different. So he posts him. George runs in. Up and over goes Ricky Nelson. Then grabs George to post him the other side. Out he comes, hip toss, arm drag. But yeah, just to change the direction of things. And I think it makes it look like the villain's in control as well. Like, you know, I don't want you to go that way. I want you to go that way. Like, it's just thing, and I don't think I've ever seen anybody else do it. So up George gets out the arm drag because he's got the arm, held on. George up, pulls the air, but that's no help to him. Up he gets, bit of an eyeball shot. The whip gets reversed again. Ricky Nelson ducks. Ducks his head. Ricky Nelson ducks his head like to do a back drop. George South cuts him off. Off the ropes he goes. Ricky leaps him. As he comes back, George kicks him, whips him again, boot to the belly. There's a pin attempt there. There's a lot of pin attempts here, which is really cool because, like, we've said this before, haven't we? Why would you not want to pin someone when they're on the floor? Because that's the whole idea of the game, is to beat somebody. Big back suplex from George. Boom. Ricky Nelson fires up briefly, but an elbow from George cuts that off. The finish is amazing. I don't think I've ever seen this either before. Off the ropes he goes. Looks like it's going to be a sort of sidewalk slam kind of thing, whatever you call that. So he picks Ricky Nelson up. Ricky Nelson swings his legs and ends up sort of across his chest, goes down, pins him. Beautiful thing.
What, kind of like a crossbody thing?
Yeah, but like so he's gone off the ropes behind me. I've caught him in the, at the side, like you would sidewalk slam him. But Ricky's kicked up, so he's going over the top. So yeah, it's in essence, it lands like a crossbody.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, I think I've seen something similar in one of them women's matches that we done, but it wasn't from a sidewalk thing. It was kind of like, I can't remember it, but the girl had gone literally all the way around and ended in a crossbody. A similar thing, but it wasn't from a sidewalk. It was from something else. But yeah, I know what you mean though. Does sound good.
There was two very unique things there with the whip that was turned into the posting and that finish. Really good. Yeah, very much enjoyed that.
Awesome. My third one is from WCW Saturday Night, 5th of the 11th, 94, against Jim Duggan.
Cool. Like me some Jim Duggan.
Yeah, this was fairly one-sided as well, but I quite enjoyed it though. This. So they start off at the start of the match. Jim Duggan is like, just they're face to face, but George is like right in the corner, like backing off as Jim Duggan's talking shit to him. Jim Duggan will turn round. George jumps him from the back, but like Jim Duggan's like no selling it. So George is like smacking him on the back, and Jim's like, I don't think so, like kind of thing. But the crowd are really into it though, with the old USA thing, because this was what 94, so it wasn't really much later than Duggan's like heyday, really, was it? I mean, it was, he was still he still looked decent.
Duggan went to WCW in '94, didn't he? Well, at that time there was a lot of WWF people in WCW, weren't there? Because I suppose Hogan had just got there.
Yeah.
So there was the Duggans and the Beefcakes and the Honkies and countless others. Boss Man, it was very much WWF down south, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. So yeah, he jumps in from behind, but Duggan's not having any of it. Duggan just no sells the attack and basically just hammers away on George South, whips him off, gives him a back elbow. They end up on the outside, a little bit on the outside. Duggan throws him back in. As Duggan gets in after him, George throws a punch, but Duggan blocks it and then just carries on popping George. Boom, boom, boom. All Duggan. He's on the. He's got him on the floor now in a hammerlock. So George is like face down as Duggan's got the hammerlock on. Duggan like working the arm a bit. He hits the ropes, comes back with like a knee on the arm as it's still in the hammerlock position on the floor. Duggan eventually puts a chin lock on, but they work up and then a massive slam by Duggan, like one way. He's got him in the body slam, but like walks around in like a massive circle, and just boom, nails him with a slam. And then after the slam, sets him up for the big clothesline finish. 1, 2, 3. One-sided, but a good match. I enjoyed it. Again, it was very crisp and nothing like, like really smooth and stuff. But yeah, like I enjoyed it, to be honest. Really, really like simple as hell, but like, very one-sided. But yeah, can't really fault it.
You don't need any more simple. So like we said, simple done right is plenty, isn't it?
Also, Duggan was the US champ here as well. So it's like, fairly big match to be in, isn't it?
Right, my last then, November the 26th, 1993. This was from the Italian Stallion and George's kind of promotion, the PWF, for their championship, George versus the Italian Stallion. George is the champion here. The crowd are red hot in this. George was so good at keeping the interest high from doing nothing. Like, it was a long time before anything happened in this. But Italian Stallion was the top baby face of the promotion, and George was the top villain. So it was bound to be heat filled, because they're probably regular venues. People knew who they were, that kind of thing. And George was backing off as much as he possibly can. Italian Stallion was playing out as much as he can, and the interest never died. You know, why wrestle when you've got heat like that from doing nothing? Brilliant. So Italian Stallion starts like a barking thing, and the crowd are barking with him. You know, very sort of Rick Steinery. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Then he gets on his hands and knees, and George gets on his hands and knees, and they're like kind of headbutting like Junkyard Dog, you know, that kind of thing that he did.
The floor. Yeah.
And then sort of so I don't think they are actually headbutting. It's hard to tell from the video, but it's only like a camcorder thing. But they're sort of rearing up at each other a bit, and then Italian Stallion turns around and like wiggles his arse and cocks his leg a little bit, like a dog was sort of pissing on George. And so George backs up again. Then there's a lockup, and there's an attempted lockup. George South's still not ready. The heat's rocking. It's really good. Look, then we've got a lockup. There's like an international thing. George gets the hip toss, and then he sort of hugs the referee after the bump. There's lock up again, and Italian Stallions to the ropes. George South cuts him off. A whip's reversed, and we have another international, but this time it's, you know, they've done it the one way with Stallion in charge. Now they do it the other way with George in charge, but it's still George that ends up getting the hip toss. There's eyeballs from George to cut Stallion off for a little bit. A slam, miss of a leg drop from George, then a drop kick and an arm drag from Stallion. Stallion works the arm real well. They're in this arm bar for some considerable time, but it doesn't get old. It doesn't get old at any time. He's working it, and you know, George is making attempts to get out, and it's still red hot. The people. It's such an art form, isn't it? To literally lie there and not do a lot, but yet still do so much is brilliant.
Yeah. We spoke about that the other day, didn't we? On the other, was it with the Warlord? Was it or Bob Warlord?
Yeah. Demolition Tag. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, same situation where they get, you know, you don't need to do anything if the reaction's there. Then carry on doing what you're doing, like, you know.
So good. I mean, this is like a 20-minute match, 19 minutes something, and it never got old. It never got tired. But not a lot was done. It was so good. So yeah, George is in the arm. He's been down there a while now. Well, I'm trying to find my place. Whips. Okay, here we go. So Italian Stallion's working the arm. George gets up, cuts Stallion off for a little bit, whips Stallion, but it gets reversed. Stallion leaps him. George South kicks him on the way back. A whip's reversed again. George gets arm dragged, so we're back on the arm. We're telling the arm story. Up gets George, a kick, bit of an attack, and he throws Stallion out the ring. They do a bit of stuff outside the ring now, with George in charge. Stallion gets mad, picks up the chair, boshes George with the chair. Back in the ring. So like George is thrown back in the ring. He hits the ropes, the Stallion's getting in. Big power slam. Off the ropes again, massive press slam from Stallion. And then just as George is in the air, there was a run in from excuse the ignorance, George South. But I don't know who this guy is, but he is a beast of a man. He's got a barrel chest, like he's not ripped to shreds, but he's well put together. You know what I mean? He's got a chest that's like 50 inches, like a proper Nikolai Volkov kind of chest. Big dark-haired mullet. And yeah, they cut him off there, and that's the DQ. And clearly working an angle between the three of them, and probably someone else for a tag it, I guess. But cracking match, really good. Can't fault that at all. My favourite was Ricky Nelson, though. You got one more, haven't you?
Yeah, my last one is, I'm guessing, from '96, because it's back in the WWF and it's against Jake Roberts.
Right.
So it would have been it would have been 96, wouldn't it? That's when Jake Roberts was back there and stuff, when he had the
ring thing.
You what?
The King of the Ring thing.
Yeah.
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 When he had a strange waistcoat kind of deal on, didn't he?
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, this was I enjoyed this as well. I did enjoy it. I think this was the shortest one of the lot, I think. But anyway, yeah. So the tie up, to get into the corner, I quite like the start because Jake gets him in the corner and Jake gives him a clean break. So Jake, but as he's giving him a clean break, George notices the snake at his feet. So George has some sort of fit, because he's obviously right in the corner. He looks down, he's like, shit.
I would as well.
That kind of thing.
I'm not for snakes. I'm not sure I'd want to be that close. I'm not sure I'd want to be that close to it, let alone having it put on me at the end of the match.
Nah, they'd have to pay me a lot of extra money to have that. Because when I was a kid, I was obsessed with snakes and I always wanted one. But I think I always wanted one because I never thought I'd be allowed one. So it was like, I think if my parents ever came home with one, I don't know what I would have done.
Yeah. Be careful what you wish for, kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's the only thing you get at Christmas.
But I remember when I used to go to my grandparents in Scotland every so often, I'd go to town and go to the pet shop just to stand and stare at the fucking snakes all day. That's what I want. You know what I mean? I wouldn't it was just crazy. But yeah. Right. So yeah, has a bit of a fit about the snake there. Go for a tie up. George takes the head, gets shot off. Jake goes straight into a hip toss. Boom, gives him a knee lift. Beautiful knee lift. Jay Roberts, he always had a good knee lift, didn't he? Then he after the knee lift, George feeds himself up. Jake puts the arm bar on and he just starts working the arm. Got George right on the floor, really wrenching the arm bar, working it real good. George does fight back a bit. Yeah, literally, George just has a bit of a flurry with some punches, but then Jake does his, shorthand punches that he does, and then boom, nails him with the right. I think George bumps from that. Jake sets up the short arm clothesline, nails him with that, then a DDT. The crowd were right loud for this as well, the DDT chants before he was even anywhere near hitting the DDT. Before he even signaled for it, the whole crowd were chanting DDT proper, But yeah, he hits the DDT, gets the 3 count, simple as that, easy. But again, it was real crisp and it really flowed. That's one thing I noticed about all 4 matches. They just all they all just flowed real. They had a nice tempo to them. They're all different. They weren't all the same speed, but they all kind of just just flowed really well. And yeah.
Going back to Jake's DDT, when you think about legendary finishes, the DDT is the one that people chanted, wasn't it? There were some great finishes that all people always loved. Everyone loved a hold up and a leg drop, right? But they weren't chanting leg drop, leg drop.
No,
I mean, I don't know what. There's got to be others that people would chant for a finish.
There's nowadays, there's the RKO, Randy Orton.
619, but that's within the last 20 years. That's new to me, isn't it?
Oh yeah. But that's the only other ones I can think of. Back then, I can't think of anything. There wasn't anything, which is weird.
Do you think what helps is the fact that it's called the DDT? Because thinking back, you've said RKO, that's 3 letters. DDT's 3 letters. 619's 3 letters. It's really easy to chant.
Mm.
They're not. If you need it chanted, you need a 3-syllable or 3-letter thing to get over. That's the future. You might have hit the nail on the head of how to get a good finish, a popular finish.
Yeah.
It's called the STD. Yeah. Just to look at people shouting it. So yeah, that was George South. Beautiful man. Always will be my hero. Such a amazing like I said, not just the wrestling, but the way he sees wrestling. You know, he sees it as a pleasure to be there, and I do. Wrestling don't owe you nothing. You know, it's a gift, isn't it, to be able to do it. And yeah, cracking. Yeah, Ricky Nelson was my favourite match. Enjoyed them all, like, but Ricky's my favourite.
Yeah, I love the Blue Blazer one was my favourite. I think I enjoyed them all. Like I say, all of them were brilliant. I loved them all, but the Blue Blazer one, I was gonna say as well. I don't know why, like, the Blue Blazer never like caught on. You know, back then it still kind of baffles me a bit because the moves he was doing, well, no one else was doing them. He had the mask.
Way before his time, wasn't it? Way before his time.
And he had the mask. There was masked villains, but there wasn't really masked faces as such, was there? Like that you could sell. I mean, you could sell the masks and everything. It would be all right. Like, I just don't understand. Like, I think he might have. There was occasions when he was injured and stuff, and I think he got hurt once or twice. But generally, I don't know why he wasn't a much bigger name back then, like Blue Blazer.
Do you think it was a size thing for back then?
It could have been. I mean, it could have been, but I don't know. I mean, why bring him in at all? Like, you know, if you just, don't know.
Wednesday, we're doing the World Wrestling Council from Puerto Rico as your territory pick, isn't it?
Yeah.
I like that a lot because there's a lot of people being there. You never know who you're going to find on an episode of that, do you?
Well, yeah, everyone's been there, haven't they?
Yeah. Friday's my tag team pick of the Armstrong family in any tag matches featuring any Armstrong member. The caveat being one of those matches has got to have Tracy Smothers. Another match got to have Brad Armstrong. Simply because I haven't got time to get Tracy Smothers or Brad Armstrong in singles. So I've built it all into one. Right, now we've been texting about your pick for next Monday, your singles pick. And I've racked my fucking brain trying to think who you've picked because you've given me like slight clues. But the one that threw me off was you might not have even seen him. So that says to me that you might not even be real. Go on.
Right, okay, so this guy I first read about in a Bret Hart book, but it wasn't Bret Hart's autobiography. I'm going back to maybe the early 2000s, and it was like a kind of like a semi-biography. It wasn't very long, and it was like just talking about his career a little bit, but it was literally, it wasn't anywhere near as big as his book. It was just like a small thing, and I seen this name there, and I thought, oh, I'd never heard of him before. Anyway, fast forward like age, like years down the line, I read about him again in Bret's book, and then I seen some Stampede DVDs, and he popped up. Now, in Bret's book, he said he was wrestling this guy, but he didn't know anything about him, and he just found out that he's just come out of jail, and he'd been in jail for like 10 years or something. But apparently, even Bret says he was a hell of a hand. He was good, really, really good. And I was like, anyway, I seen these DVDs, fucking brilliant, brilliant like promo, real convincing heel. Anyway, we're gonna go with like, I don't know if you've seen him, but Duke Myers.
I've heard that
name. He doesn't look like much. He just looks like a bitter, angry drunk. Like literally, like he's got a bit of a belly on him. He looks like he's aging and stuff. But he was one of them promos that would make you listen. Like he just genuinely. I looked on YouTube to make sure that there's enough footage of him. There is quite a lot of footage of him. There is a lot of tag matches. So I don't know how many singles, but he's been and he generally was from the Canada area. I think he traveled around Canada. It wasn't just Stampede. I think he did go like elsewhere and stuff. But I thought it'd be different, like because you know, I thought
we've seen a lot of people that we would never have seen from doing these over the last 90 years, haven't we? You know,
definitely.
So, yeah, Duke Myers, I can live with that. I like new folks. I reckon I've heard the name, and the only thing I can think of it being is from Stampede. if that's, you know, like you said, he was there. But I would never be able to picture him, and I would never have ever guessed that name ever in my life.
No, he's like I say, he doesn't look like much. He just looks like he's well into his 40s. He just comes across as your drunk uncle that's like pissed off, basically. Like that's kind of.
But when you think of that, sometimes you don't really want to mess with your drunk uncle, do you?
Well, there we go. But yeah, I think it'll be interesting. It might not. You might not be that good, but I just think it's worth it. It's a new person in it that I've only seen a handful of times. So.
You never know who he's going to be against. Like, especially if we see him against people that we don't know, we've opened up another new avenue of life. World Wrestling Council Wednesday, Armstrongs, to include Brad and Tracy Smothers, and Duke Myers. Duke. Fabulous. Yeah. That's been George South. We'll be back Wednesday with the World Wrestling Council. It's Bank Holiday Monday here in jolly old England, and it's pissing down with rain. We'll see you Wednesday.